Welcome everybody to episode 11 of Money Life and Gags with Harry and Mark. How are we going, Harry?
Mark, I'm doing really well. Splurge or save, that's our topic.
Splurge or save.
Well, you love this topic, don't you?
Yeah, I think anyone who knows me knows which side of the ledger I sit on that
Splurge.
one. But yeah, let's play that game.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We can be logical about it too, because I think as a young man I was pretty logical. Not logical now. But look, I think there are so many avenues now where people can splurge. It's not a joke. After pay this, pay that, pay. In our generation, it was credit cards. There's always an excuse to splurge.
Yeah.
But it's the emotional factor that gets you over the line in terms of splurging. It's really hard to save money, especially young adults today. Think of an 18-year-old. What does an 18-year-old want to do? They want to have some money in their pocket and they just want to go hell for leather.
Yep, 100%.
Some people don't change their habits.
How much of splurge or save do you think comes from upbringing?
Interesting.
So do you think we are replicas of our parents as we get older? And so
We
if they
are.
were splurgers, you'll become a splurger. And if they were savers, you'd be a saver.
I can only draw on my experience. I mean, my parents are migrants. They came to the country into the 60s. They just saved. They wouldn't even know how to splurge. I think they had a guilt factor when they splurged. They would splurge on buying a house because they just think that's a logical thing to do.
Yeah.
Or it's the responsible.
That's not splurging.
No,
right?
that's just
Buying your
being
family home is
responsible.
not a splurge, unless you're living beyond your means and you
No.
buy something you can't afford, then that's a splurge. But if you're just buying one, that's not a
Yeah,
splurge.
yeah.
A splurge is buying, 5 TVs when you only need one, or
It's just dumb shit.
Buying clothes and bags that cost more than the national deficit.
Yeah.
Like from my personal experience, I grew up in an environment where we were splurgers. My parents did it tough in the early days, but then when the better days came along, they enjoyed life and they still do.
Yeah.
And so I think I've got that gene, let's call it, or that learned behaviour.
Are you at a worse splurge level than your parents or better?
I'm probably worse. My parents still have a sense of value of money.
Yeah. You obviously don't.
I'm not fantastically value of money. Whereas Jodie, my wife, she came from a different upbringing where they were more prudent with their money.
Yeah.
And so when we first met, there was a cultural difference between the two of us.
Yeah.
Where Jodie lived in a world where you save for what you want, and then when you've got that money, then you go buy it.
And that's the right way to do it. I mean, let's not kid ourselves.
Oh, I'm not criticising.
No, you shouldn't.
But I'm on the no, I'll get it now and I'll worry about later how I'm going to pay for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Because I don't think, I'm not, I don't want this to come across arrogant, but I always believe everything I do, I land on my feet. And however I'm going to pay for that, I've got it covered. I'll work it out. It'll work itself out. And don't get me wrong, I'm not out there buying $200,000 luxury gifts and things like that. And now I've got to work out how I'm going to fund $200,000.
Yeah.
I just don't subscribe to the save and save and save and then buy it. So I'm probably more aligned to the younger generation of today, where it's buy now, pay later, pay whenever. Who cares if you don't pay? As compared to save and then get it done.
Have you ever saved?
Have I ever saved? I probably did along the journey.
Yeah.
But if it did a percentage of splurge to save, it'd be 90% splurging.
Really, man?
To 10% saving.
Geez, I'm on the opposite scales.
Yeah, I don't like cash in the bank. It just burns for me. So if I've got loans, I'm pretty disciplined in paying loans off and
Okay, so that's a disciplined way of saving.
Yeah, so that's if you call that saving, then I've been doing a lot of that.
Yeah, that's discipline.
Because that I'm not going to not meet my repayments or anything of that nature, and I always want a cushion there that in case something happens and you need to buy some time, you've got it up your sleeve. But if I've got money sitting in the bank doing nothing, we've got to go do something. So whether it's trading, whether it's buying things, whether it's anyone who knows me and you know me pretty well, I churn through cars a lot.
Mate, you're bad.
Yeah, and everyone knows you don't make money from changing cars.
It's the worst investment.
Right? Yeah,
it's not even an investment. It's just money.
It's certainly not an investment.
It's money down the bloody gutters.
But it's fun.
Oh yeah.
For me, that's my toy, right? Or toys. And so that for me, that's anyone would think that's an act of splurging. That's not an act of prudent when you just change cars every 18 months or 2 years or sometimes shorter than that. As I'm getting older, the cars are lasting a bit longer. The last one I think was 3 years.
Oh, really? 3 years? Oh, let's give you a gold medal.
Absolutely, give me a pat on the back.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and the influence, my influence on Jodie's probably been more profound than her influence on me. I've probably reined in a little bit compared to what I was before I met her, but she's certainly more on the, she's had to embrace splurging.
Yeah.
Because I'm a bit of a free spirit. I'm not gonna be buckled down by not spending if I want to spend. So it's funny how the dynamics work and things like that.
It's funny that you should say that because when I bought my second car, I was with my old man, and I bought this was a splurge. I didn't need it. I bought a Mustang Bullet.
Yeah.
Don't ask me why, because these things only come in manual.
Yeah. Is that the one I drove?
Yes.
Yes. The green one.
Yeah.
That was good fun. I like
it.
it.
So I've had it, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. I think it's done like 10.
I think you soiled your pants that day I drove it. But
oh man, you're bad. you're really bad. So I had to pick up my dad.
There must be a reason why you've never allowed me to drive any other car.
Oh mate, that's not going to happen. I'm not going to assure you. Cars get devalued by 80% by you driving them. But I was with my old man when I bought this car, and I had to take him somewhere. And in that car, this is 6 years ago. So he would have been 83. And my dad's that generation, it's heavy about saving. So he's hammering me in the car, and things like when are you going to grow up? At that time I was 50, I don't know, 50, 52, 53.
And this is your second car?
No, because I've got 2 cars.
Oh, your second, okay, not your second all-time car, just the second car.
This is like the 20th car, mate.
Yeah, okay.
But this is the second car. So logically, Dad would say, you know what, you're 52. When are you going to grow up? Why do you need 2 cars for? What's the point of having 2 cars? And he's just hammering me.
You need one for the even days and one for the odd days.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm hammering, right? And then he goes to the petrol consumption, right? He goes, why do you need a V8 for? Why are you being so silly? You've got 3 kids. What type of example are you with your kids? So he's hammering, right?
Guilt trip.
Yeah. All that sort of stuff. And these Mustangs being manual, first gear, you can really rev it up, right? And my dad's doing my nuts in, pretty bad, right? He's 83 years old.
Yeah.
So I've just hit the accelerator, and as I pressed the clutch to go to second, his head nearly went out through the window. Stop! You're not a proper father. Stop! You still haven't grown up.
At that point, you're not a proper son.
Yeah, exactly. he was mentioning I'm not a proper father to my kids, that sort of thing. So, look, I have splurged sometimes. Do I have a guilt? Yeah, I do.
Do you?
Yeah, I do. I hate spending...
guilt's a waste of an emotion, right?
Yeah, it is, but I hate spending money.
So there's no purpose other than make you feel like shit.
Well, I do feel like
why?
shit.
You choose that. That's a choice you make.
Yeah, but you make it on an emotional moment. I'll give you the other one.
Why do you feel shit? You can't take it with you.
Nah, but you want to... mate, how many cars have you actually changed? Go on.
Oh, I've lost count. I don't know.
More than 20?
Yeah.
Oh, mate, that's shit. You are completely irresponsible.
Well, I've been driving for, 20, 30,
40 years?
37 years.
And you changed over 20 cars?
Something like that. Probably not over 20. Probably that's exaggerating. It'd probably be maybe 15 to 18 or something like that.
That's real dumb. That's really dumb. The other thing that I splurged on...
but I don't have any other vices. So,
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not big on the travelling, although I've spoken about that before. And we're going to change a bit of that. So I don't have many things I blow money on other than cars. And so if that's my baby, that's my baby.
So what do you tell a young adult when they're about to get started in life?
You do what I tell you, not what I do.
I love it.
I always tell my kids, hypocrisy is real.
Yeah.
And contradiction is real.
Yeah.
And so I'm a biggest advocate for it. So
Yeah.
if I tell you something, don't worry about what I do.
Yeah.
Because what I do doesn't mean you replicate. You've got to learn from my, inadequacies and learnings and so forth. Would I change anything? No, I wouldn't change anything. I've loved my life. But, do I want my kids to go and have 18 cars? No, I don't. Because I know you're wasting a lot of money and you burn a lot of this and you burn a lot of that. But ultimately, it's their choice. They'll do what...
yeah.
And they'll make their own mistakes and they'll make this and they'll make that.
I guess it was easier for us, Mark, growing up because things weren't that expensive. So we probably had more optionality in terms of splurging. Whereas, young adults can
but the
splurge.
world of credit is so much
it's just
greater
crap.
now. You can get, you can roll over from credit card to credit card to credit card.
You can.
And do things, and they do transfer bonuses where you don't have to pay. It's interest free for the next 100 days, whatever it is.
Yeah, all that bullshit.
And they're so easy to get, right? As long as you've got a job, like you got to have a job. You can't be a ninja.
Yeah. What's a ninja, mate?
No income, no job.
Okay. You're in the bloody groove, ninja. Oh, look, those ninja loans in America in the subprime crisis.
Exactly.
I'll get it now, ninja loans. Bloody hell. No jobs. Have you ever seen anyone in the retail store like a Myers or a DJ's? I'll never forget this. I think I was with my partner once and there was a young lady. She would have been in her 20s. She was buying something, pulls out one credit card decline, put another credit card decline, pull the third one. Mate, I feel so sorry for her. Like, don't worry about it. Just let me pay for it. I just can't see you pulling out all the credit cards. But Splurge.
No, I haven't seen that. I've not experienced that. That would be funny.
Yeah. But it can get you into a whole heap of trouble.
Look, I've got one that bounces. Try this one.
But splurging can get you into a lot of trouble. No, you can.
Absolutely, I don't disagree.
Yeah, it can.
I don't disagree. Look, you want to be pretty comfortable that your income flows are pretty solid, that you can splurge. So if you splurge and you put all your family at risk, then that is stupid, right?
Dumb.
If you're risking your family home or even food on the table, or anything of that nature,
stupid.
You're being stupid, right? But if you got that discretionary income, well, just enjoy life. Just whatever makes you happy, do that, because you've only got one life. And you can't take it with you. I know we grew up in an era where you save, and so do you leave stuff for your kids? And don't get me wrong, I'd like to leave stuff for my kids as well, but not so that they don't have to do anything.
Oh no,
I want them to hustle
exactly
themselves.
The same. Or else they'll never learn.
And so what I really like is whatever Jodie and I have, it's more for the grandchildren, not them. So they can make their own, and then they say instead of going next generation, you skip generations.
Skip it.
And but we'll see how all that works out. But I'm a splurger. Everyone who knows me will know that I'm a splurger.
Apart from cars, give me the other dumb shit that you've done.
Horses.
Oh, this is a
I
shit
buy
example.
horses.
This is a shit example too.
Yeah,
but
it's good fun.
Our last episode, we talked about training.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes.
And I just said...
Well, I think people realise we're wearing the same clothes. So it's happening at the same time.
Yeah. And we said that training was gambling.
No, we didn't. You said it was. I didn't agree with you.
So tell me horses. Tell me about this crap. Is that gambling?
No.
Oh, what is it? It's an investment?
No, it's more like a donation.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Tell me how the donations work.
So you and I don't buy whole of horse. I buy the tail or the hoof or something like that.
You buy a percentage.
Yeah. So you
in
go
a
into
consortium.
Horse syndication.
Yeah.
And you buy 5 or 10% of a horse. And generally most of the ones I've done are 2-year-olds, so they've just come out of the 2-year-old sales. So they're unraced. You don't know. They're all based on breeding, and the mum was this and the dad was this and so forth. But it's really good fun. Like, I like it.
So you go to the races?
Yeah. So we're actually going in a few weeks. My daughter loves animals, and every time we used to go to the races. Not that we go every week. Like we'd go maybe 3 times a year, 4 times a year.
Is this to follow the horses that you've got a percentage?
No. Sometimes we go when I've got a percentage, but most of the time we just go for fun.
Yeah.
And but my daughter has a love for black horses.
Oh.
And so she keeps talking about, Dad, can you put $2 on this black horse if you see a black horse and whatever. So and so she's at an age where, like, I'm always concerned taking children to gambling venues, but this is more, she's not going to start gambling. She's got a love for animals, and so I'll take her to the mounting yard, see if I can get into the stables of the trainers that I know, and she can pat horses, have a look at the horses, and have that experience. So we're doing that in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. But have any of the horses that you've got a percentage in? Have you ever won?
I got close on one.
No, the question is, mate, have you won?
I did win, right. But I got close on one. So there was a horse called Spellcatcher.
So what's it called?
Spellcatcher.
Yeah.
And as a 2-year-old going to 3-year-old, I think it was a 3-year-old when it did this, but it qualified for $1 million prize money race.
Oh.
And Jodie and I went to the track, and it wasn't a short. It was I think it was maybe paying $15, 20, something like that. I can't remember exactly. And it came second.
Oh,
it got beaten. Yeah, so we made good money for being second.
Yeah.
But it got beaten. I'm going to say from memory, it was about like a head, which is not a lot. Like it wasn't like at one point it looked like it was going to win, and then it sort of tapered on its run. But that's the closest I got to to winning decent money on a horse race. But the sliding doors moment of that race is the horse that beat us was a horse called Overpass.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly the prize money, but it's in the like $6 to $8 million dollar zone that it's won since that race. So, and we lost by a head. Unfortunately, with horse racing, this is why it's a mugs game. It was either the next start or the start after. Our horse bled. And some horses, I don't know why, I don't know the science behind it all, but when they bleed and they bleed from the nose, they can't race for 6 months. So they've got to recover from that. And then if they have a second nosebleed, they're banned from racing.
You're gone.
So there must be some health connotations associated with bleeding. But a lot of horses, once they bleed, they don't come back the same horse.
Right.
And that's what happened with this horse. And so from being in racing at Flemington for $1 million race, by the time we finished our ownership, it was racing at, I don't know, Rockhampton in Queensland or something like that for $20,000.
Okay.
And so that's the beauty and the parallels of horse racing. So
I remember when you discussed this with me a couple of years ago, maybe more. And I don't know, I started getting energetic about the whole thing. And then you started explaining to me the ongoing costs.
Yeah.
And I remember, did I tell you to get stuffed or did I just hang up on you?
No, you never hang up on me. You just told me I'm not doing that.
Is that what I said?
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
Was it that polite?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, that's quite pleasing.
Yeah, but like it's all relative, right? So the bills are roughly, let's go $3 to $4 grand a month, of which if you've got 5%, then it's $150 to $200.
Yeah.
So the bills are never massive. Like you shouldn't take on a horse ownership if you can't afford to pay those bills, but they're never massive. At any given time, I've owned like 3-4 horses. And so the bills are never big. And when they're not racing, the bills are a lot lower because they're just in the paddock eating grass, so you don't pay a hell of a lot for that.
So give me an idea, how long have you been doing this for?
Since 2018.
So it's like 7 years?
Yeah.
Okay, 7 years. Not wanting to pry into your private financial affairs, are you up or down?
Down.
Oh, okay. You said that with confidence,
Yeah,
mate.
absolutely down.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it's that's why I said it's a donation.
Yeah.
Because you're not making it like you're living the dream that one day you'll have when we went out for lunch earlier, there was your friend of yours. He said he's got a fast horse.
Yeah.
That's what you hope for. A horse that can win a Group 1 race, win decent prize money, race in town, race in the Group 1s, anything of that nature. That's the dream. And so when you take the tail or the hoof, these 5-10%, that's what you're hoping for, that you can get involved in a horse that has that capability to do that. Now, to date, that's the closest I got. All my other horses, not very good. They're quite slow.
Jeez.
And so I just keep turning them over. So if they're, when they're not that great, I just put them out, my percentage for sale, and either the existing owners buy it. There's platforms,
okay.
where
so,
you could put your share for
sale.
sale. You can just give it back to the trainer. So look, I don't want to pay the bills anymore. You keep the percentage. There's many ways to get out of a horse that's not really that great. Sometimes the syndicate managers, everybody wants to get out, so they just put it on the sales, and someone will buy it in the bush for $1,000 or whatever. So half the time you just want to get out of the slow horses, so you stop the bills,
right? And
then you go again. You find then use that money that you get.
So it's more like a hobby.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's a hobby. It's a hobby. But you can spend stupid money on horses.
I can imagine.
Like I know a guy that the horse he paid $35 grand.
Wow.
For 10% of a horse.
Gee, so it's worth $350,000.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
But it's not that great. Like it's not fast. So because you're doing everything on breeding, unless you buy into a proven horse that's already racing and winning and so forth.
But that would mean that the cost of acquiring that horse would be far bigger. Yeah,
it would be higher.
Okay.
Whereas you're playing the futures game. So look, when you're doing the breeding game, not that I'm an expert on breeding, but you have a theme of which sire would do well, and then have a look at the mum and its pedigree and so forth. It's interesting. You've got to like it, but it is a bit. More people lose out of it than make any money out of it.
I'll tell you a funny story. When I and this is not the Mustang, I updated my my little Mercedes. I always call it a little Mercedes because it's small. And I thought, no, I want a Splurge because my old one was getting a little bit outdated. I thought, no, I want a new model. It just looks a little bit better and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
I've been booked so many bloody times, Mark. I have to drive on cruise control. That's it. I'm not paying any more speeding fines. I'm done. Because speeding fines now are very expensive. You cop a couple.
I wouldn't know, man.
Oh, mate, I reckon, mate. I reckon
That's a lie.
You're not that far behind me. So I'm on the freeway, and as I said, it says 80. So click on the cruise control. I'm driving 80, and I've just picked up this car, right? And I'm driving, and all of a sudden, I feel as if the steering wheel's moving. And I've gone to myself, what's wrong? Like it's moving out of my hands. Like there's something wrong with my car. I thought, nah.
It's lane control, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't know what lane control is, mate. All right? Because I've never had cars with lane control. So as I'm going around the particular bend, I'm doing 80. I go, oh, well, mate, this is ridiculous, right? So I just go to the side, the emergency lights on. So I ring up the dealer, all right? Thank goodness thank God I've got that 2-year Mercedes warranty. And I go, oh, can I speak to so-and-so? And he goes, oh, Harry, how you going? How am I going? I'm going to come there right now, mate. You're going to find out what I'm all about. How dare you sell me this piece of crap? Do you know I'm driving, right? And the bloody wheel's moving? Like I'm going to get killed. I go, you absolute dickhead, right? He's pissed himself laughing, and that infuriated him more. I go, I'm going to turn the car around. I'm going to put you in hospital. And he goes, no, let me explain. So he explained to me about that lane control. I go, oh, that's cool. So I'm driving, right? One hand out this way, one hand that way. Oh, look at this. My car's driving by itself. That was a splurge too. I didn't need to change my car. I've done some dumb shit.
Yeah.
But is it emotional? Yeah, I think everything that you splurge is emotional.
It might well be. Yeah, I don't really. I don't put a lot of in-depth thought into my.
So what do you save for, mate?
What do I save for?
Yeah, I mean, if you're splurging all the time, what do you save for? Or do you particularly go out and hog yourself in debt and say, shit, I've got so much debt, I'm going to go and pay it off as quick as possible?
No.
So how do you do it?
How do I do what?
How do you save?
I'm not a saver.
But come on, man, there's got to be some point in times where you have to save. You've got a family, you've got a wife, you've got kids, you've got a house to service.
I've got assets. The assets are worth more than liabilities.
Okay,
Life's
but
good.
how did you acquire those assets? You must have had some sort of savings plan. Oh, come on.
No, I've never had a savings plan. It's just happened.
Bullshit.
So you make money, you invest in things, and then you leverage them.
Oh, okay. So you do invest. In order to invest, you have to save.
Well, no, it's not saved. It's more like, in my world, I get large chunks of income because of the deal making that I do and so forth, and M&A and so forth. And so it's not a saving exercise.
Oh, let's run through an example. Okay, you make $100,000.
Yeah.
Let's call it $100,000, right? It comes into your hands.
Yeah, so I'll go buy something with that $100,000. And then I'll leverage it.
So you'll buy an investment and you'll leverage it.
Yeah.
How many times?
Whatever. I don't. There's no predetermined.
So it could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times?
Whatever it is.
Okay.
Whatever it is. There's no raw science to it.
Each to their own.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I'm not a saver. Like, I'm not someone says, oh, I'll put 200 to savings and I'll do this and I'll do that.
I'm
and I'll
not
do
that
that. I don't do that. Nah. All the money goes in the pot and we just have fun.
Okay. What a great attitude. What a great attitude. I'm not going to change my cars now. My kids are going to have nothing but if I keep on doing that. Interesting. But how could you do that if your income's not...
You can't.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you can't have one without the other.
And isn't that the sad story?
So you can't walk if you don't have ankles.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah. And isn't it the sad story that people may splurge as much as you and I, but they haven't got the income and the debt just keeps going on.
That's more. That's more. That's silly. To do that is silly.
We're getting dumb.
I certainly don't do that. I try very hard not to live beyond my means. So anything we do, we've got cover. And we got the rainy day to cover things off and all that sort of stuff. So the world changes.
So the key is go out and earn a bloody big income.
Well, that's my philosophy. Yes.
Well, just fact. Go
fund my lifestyle.
Yeah. Go earn a big income, splurge because you can.
Yes. And I like going out for dinner and going away to places overnight. Love wine. So they're simple things in life. And but I'm not going to go without them. So I'm not going to save to go and do something I want to do. I'm just going to do it, and then I'll work out how I fund that later.
I used to catch up with some blokes for lunch once a month. Big hitters, Mark. Like big hitters, right?
Yeah.
Good people, right? And we would go for lunch, and lunch for the four of us could cost $3,000.
Wow. How many of you? 4?
Yeah, 4.
Jesus.
Yeah, because
is that because big expensive wine or
Yeah,
what?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
the food couldn't cost that
No,
much.
no. It's like, I think it was more of a showing off with these guys. Or they're just bloody rich and they just had the money. Look, it was nothing for them to order a bottle of wine of $1,000.
Wow.
And they would take it in turns. And I can't do this shit. So it was my turn. I mean, it was my turn to bloody go out.
So you went to Dan Murphy? Or?
No, I didn't go to Dan Murphy, mate. So we usually go to the same restaurant. Like, I'm nervous as hell.
Yeah.
So it's a restaurant in Crown, right? And I mean, it's just common sense that it was my turn to bloody shout.
Yeah.
I'm bloody sweating.
You were sick that day?
No. I went.
Yeah.
I actually went. So
And did you buy this $1,000 bottle of wine?
So what I tried to do, see, I'm not a wine connoisseur. I don't know anything about wines, right? But these blokes are. So they know that whole wine bullshit, what's good and what's bad.
Yeah.
So I've got the wine list, right? And the cheapest wine is $230, right? And I've gone, I'll have that Sauv Blanc from New Zealand. And they all looked at me. It's like, are you guys all right with Sauv Blanc? And he goes, no, order that one. $17.50, not $17.50, $1,750.
Wow.
I couldn't really tell them no, so I had to do it.
So the sphincter was really tightening on that day?
Let me tell you, mate. Let me tell you, I wouldn't laugh. That day cost me a lot of money.
Did it taste good at least?
No, who cares? It was bloody sour, whatever, mate. So I said, I had to be honest with them. Because, I mean, that's my policy. I said, hey, guys, you know what? Love you guys. Love the way that, we carry on with it. I can't do this shit anymore. Oh, no, don't worry about it. We'll look after you. And I'm not like that, right?
Yeah. I'm not going to take gifts either.
That was a $4,200 lunch. That happened nearly 6 years ago, and I'm still talking about it. I'm not doing that shit again.
You're in therapy for it.
Yeah, but I understand why they can do that. Because they're just extremely wealthy people.
Yeah.
And they don't give a rip. And good on them because they're living life. I mean, I personally can't do that. But it's amazing how when you see wealthy people splurge, I used to think that, I'm beginning to change my thought process. I'm saying, you know what, they're just living life. They deserve everything that comes their way.
Yeah,
it's just phenomenal.
It's each to their own.
Yeah,
if
it
you
is.
make, you do what you want.
Yeah,
Like, who's anyone to judge how someone should spend their money, other than your own partner? Like, your partner might argue with you, should we be doing this or not doing this, and that sort of stuff. But outside of that, it's no one else's business. And if you want to do something, you should just do them.
Have you done those lunches, like the $4,000 lunches?
No.
See, I just can't do
not that ridiculous. No.
Yeah. I'd when I
There's no liquid on earth that's worth that amount of money for me.
Oh, okay. So we're coming back to common sense now, eh?
Well, $1,700 for wine.
Yeah.
I reckon the $17.50 that I get at Dan Murphy, that tastes just as good.
Yeah, just as good. Yeah. But if you had the money, you would do it though. Come on.
No, I don't think I'd pay $1,700. I'd use that to buy a horse.
Oh well, you'd spend.
So
it
I'd say
another
justify the horse money.
Yeah.
Rather than the wine money.
Yeah. Oh wow. I was also.
But we all justify what we want, right? They'll say the wine's better than the horse because they're not into horses. I'm into horses, so I justify the horse. Horses for courses.
Yeah. That's good. Are you into watches?
Not big time, but I do have a watch. I treated myself when I finished the Paragon journey that I wanted a Tag Heuer. And so I bought myself a Tag Heuer. Cost me Jody getting something as well.
Yeah.
So it was like buying 2 Tag Heuers, that one. But other than that, no. You notice I don't even wear them. So I'm not, I wouldn't say I've got a fetish for watches or anything like that.
It's interesting because...
You do, don't you?
This was forced upon me because it was an opportunity. There's no way in the world that I would have spent so much money buying a watch, but because it was such a great price, it was nearly 50% cheaper than what it was. I don't know anything about watches. I ended up buying it. Do I regret? Look, I don't regret it, but it's just not me. I just got sucked in. I used the mentality, well, you know what? It's 50% off. Well, it'd be stupid for me not to buy it.
Yeah.
And I actually went and did that.
The reality is, if something's 50% off, can you flog it to get the 50% profit? Because most of these things, sure, the discount is off their the price on the ticket.
Yeah.
But you can't move it. Like,
No.
like the biggest, like when you talk about splurge or save, like I reckon the biggest scam on earth is diamonds.
I don't know anything about them.
Neither do I. But what I do know is when you buy them, they cost you an absolute bomb.
Yeah.
After they're inside the encasing of silver or gold and whatnot, they're not worth anything anymore.
Yeah.
And it's the same stone.
Right.
So that whole industry scams you.
Wow.
So you get some stone out of the ground. It's a beautiful shiny diamond. It's clarity this and density this or whatever.
Whatever
the metrics
VVS
are.
and VV
all
this
that,
and
right?
VV that.
And so you pay this money.
Yeah.
But then if you wanted to move, like a year later, if you wanted to move that diamond on, you can't get anywhere near the money you paid for it. Total scam. It's worse than cars.
Yeah. I think the biggest scam is the wedding industry.
Oh, that's a big scam.
Oh, mate, I know because I've got one daughter that's married and another one's about to get married soon.
Well, that's part of your trading strategy, isn't it, to help fund those weddings?
No, it's not actually. Believe me, it's not.
You will.
But I do hear of young adults getting married and they're paying 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 grand for 4 hours.
Yeah.
It's off the charts, Mark. It's actually off the charts.
And everything that you buy for a wedding, to hold the wedding,
Yeah.
is exaggerated prices.
Yeah, it is.
Because if you're just doing a 50th birthday party and doing the exact same thing,
Yeah.
it'd be a quarter of the price.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah,
It's just they see wedding, ka-ching, ka-ching.
Yeah, it's an emotional thing.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Do you know anyone that has splurged that shouldn't have splurged and they're in deep trouble today?
Not today, but
I
in
do.
my history, I do where
too.
people, I call it living beyond your means.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
sometimes it's a bit like you with your friends and these, $4,000 lunches and that sort of stuff. Sometimes if you get caught into that peer pressure environment and you want to be, one of the Joneses, and you have to live that certain lifestyle, and so you extend and you buy that home in that suburb because that's what the Joneses are doing, and you buy that car and you send your kids to that private school because that's another scam of private schools.
Don't get me started on private schools, mate.
And so I've seen people
private schools.
just overextend to an extent that they can't afford that lifestyle.
Yeah.
But they're too embarrassed to leave that lifestyle because it's a big fall from grace, and it can implode on them. So I've seen that in my past, family and friends.
Yeah.
In the current circumstance, no, I don't recall anyone doing that to that degree. I think maybe I've chosen different friends or whatever. They're not doing those sort of things, but. Back in the 80s and 90s, I saw a bit of that.
It's interesting that you talk about private schools. What's your view about private schools?
I'm not a big fan.
Yeah.
And part of that is because I didn't go. I think one of the benefits of sending your kids to private schools is the camaraderie that they get. So it's almost this collegiate group of kids that grow together, and then whenever they get into adult life, there's a brotherhood there or sisterhood there.
Is this your assumption?
No, I see it, right?
Really?
Where I look at myself and I went to just a normal school. That's not there. It was more dog eat dog. You got to beat others to succeed, and so whereas in private schools, I see it's more collegiate. There's a brotherhood there. There's a brethren there. They look out for each other. They'll help each other where they can. That's the only benefit I see. As far as education and so forth, no, I don't subscribe that. That's the only. As life shows you. There's many paths to success. Being at a private school is not the only way to do it. And in many circumstances, going to a private school teaches them the wrong things, and they lose the entrepreneur, the creative thinking, the entrepreneurialism.
Really? Is that what you think?
Yeah, I think they churn out robots.
Really?
Yeah. That's just my view. Don't ask me
it's
for
just an
evidence.
opinion. I mean, private schools. I mean, my kids went to private schools. I think it was the biggest waste of money. I mean, I've actually gone out of my way to convince 2 sets of parents not to take their kids to private school. I think it's about 50 grand a year now per child.
Depends which one you go. They range from 20 to 70.
Yeah. Oh, is that high? Jeez. Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's nuts. But that's once again, it's about the Joneses. And each to their own. If you want to send your kids there, I don't begrudge you. Do it. That's fine.
I think if you've got a bag of money.
Like mine are going to go to semi-private. They're private, but they're not at the ridiculous price.
Yeah.
But they get the best of both worlds, right? There's a bit more realism to it. But I'm not a big advocate. The School of Hard Knocks is pretty cool too.
Yeah, 100%, because private schools concentrate on something that's called an ATAR score at the end of year 12. Are their figures good? Yeah, most of them are.
Well, part of the reason their figures are good is if you're not up to scratch, they wean you off. They want you out. They want you out
well.
of their school, and they'll wean you off.
But you know as well as I do, your ATAR score is not going to define the person who you're going to become.
No, of course it's not.
It's absolute crap. It's the
It's
biggest scam.
It's
a scam.
All it does is a measurement of memory.
Yeah.
So you memorize things, and you can do them.
Yeah, I
so
agree.
like it's in real life, it doesn't apply much all that ATAR stuff that they do.
Yeah, no.
And same with universities. Like, I'm not saying don't go to university, but some of the subjects that they do at university, where's that going?
That's a good point.
Where does that take you? Like, so there's some really silly subjects being taught at universities that don't really add value to
your personal life,
to
your work
building
experience.
wealth, and to now if you have a passion for that area, great, good on you, go do that. But yeah, there's a lot of passengers in that world in my view, and they hide, because the longer you stay in that world, the less you have to go into the real world.
I find, if we talk about private schools, is that there's a small percentage of parents that can easily afford the fees. Then you've got the other 70% who struggle, and the balance will use their credit cards to fund for their...
Yeah, but they'll get frequent flyer points with that.
Oh, bullshit.
Yeah.
You do not.
If you use your credit cards to pay your fees, you get frequent flyer points.
Of course. Well, I don't believe in that sort of stuff anyway, and I don't want to get into
That's
that.
another topic another day. But yeah, no. In that regard, yes, it's a lot of people overextend, and once again, I think everyone does it for the right reasons. I think majority of people do it because they want the very best for their children. Maybe they didn't get that opportunity, and they want to provide that opportunity for their children. But your question was, do I'm a believer on it? No, I don't. I don't think it guarantees you success because you go to a private school. I think you'll succeed if you want to succeed, and there's many ways you can do that.
Do you know, over time, I have found whether I splurge or don't, I'm usually now don't, apart from some stupid things that I've done. I'm just quite content about myself. I'm just content. I actually don't care now. And I think the ones who, especially when they're young and they can't afford to because they haven't got the income, not only doesn't it catch up with them really, really quickly, but I feel as if they've learnt bad habits. Does that make sense?
Well, if things come easy, then that does develop bad habits. When things come easy. And so if you can get easy credit, if you can get easy this and you can get easy that, and you get 100, 60 months interest free at Harvey Norman, and you go buy $20,000 worth of TVs and couches and that sort of stuff. That's like everything comes easy.
Yeah.
And no one's really calculating the consequences of those actions. They develop bad habits with that. Back work ethics. And I'm sort of probably contradicting myself a little bit here, because I'm probably guilty of let's just roll and we'll work it out, which is probably what they're doing. But they've just got to be careful that they've got the disposable income to support that decision-making process and that lifestyle.
Oh, so yeah. So I guess I'm not saying that you shouldn't enjoy yourself, but do it in a measured way. And when the money rolls in, yeah, absolutely, go enjoy yourself. Because I've seen my folks live an entire life, done well for themselves. So, let's not kid ourselves, but never really out and splurged and just did it for themselves,
Because they're probably of the mentality, if you've saved for the majority of your life, it's very hard to undo that and not be a saver.
Yeah, because it's been a habit. It's been a habit all their lives. On the flip side, then you've got people on the other side of the ledger that haven't done that, and they learn bad habits and they get caught out. They learn bad habits and they get caught out. I mean, the debt is exploding. Well, it's not just in Australia, mate. It's exploding worldwide. I'll tell you a funny story, though, that I'd gone to a resort in Europe. Mate, I just wasn't happy. So I said, no, I'm going. So I looked around. It was in Paris.
Yeah.
Right? Paris is not cheap, mate.
No, it's not.
So you've been there?
Yeah, I've been to Paris, yes.
Okay. So I just wasn't happy. And to be honest, looking back, there was nothing wrong with it. I just needed all the bling bling bullshit because again, it was an emotional thing. I said, I'm only going to be here for about 5 days, so I want to enjoy it. So where it was, I think it was on a couple of €100 per night. It was a standard hotel, nice.
Yep.
I said, no, I'm going to spoil myself. So I've taken my bags, literally 100 meters, down the road on the left-hand side, and I see this beautiful, the architecture of this hotel. I go, this is where I'm going to stay. I go, stuff it. I'm in my 50s. So if I'm not going to, you know that thing. If I'm not going to do it now.
When will I do it?
When will I do it? Like, Harry, are you that dumb?
That's the splurge mentality.
100%. I walked in and walked out within 3 seconds. €2,500 per night. So that was my splurge in my mind.
And you'd already checked out of the previous place.
Checked out. So I've gone back and I've actually lied. I can't find anything. Everything's booked. Oh, sir, you're more than welcome to stay. I opened the door. Love the place now. I just love the place. I'm not thinking that.
If I was there, I would say, you go back and find somewhere else, mate. You just spat on us. You can't come back here.
So, I mean, I'm still fairly careful in terms of what I do. I think I've mentioned to you when I fly, I fly business class. I try and find the cheapest business class that's going.
When you got flexibility of when you can go, there's some good deals out there for business class. Obviously it's a lot more expensive than economy, but they've got
that other one now,
premium economy. So that's more just leg room. I don't think you get anything like you do in business class.
My understanding is that the seat goes back halfway. It doesn't go all the way like a flatbed. It goes halfway.
Right.
And I think they're $4,000 or something, or $5,000.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure,
but it's I think it's probably half the price of business and triple the price of economy. I think it's roughly like that. But if you because you're basically retired, you can go whenever you like, really. And so you've got the flexibility. Do I go Tuesday? Do I go Wednesday? You don't have to worry about school holidays. You probably avoid school holidays.
Yeah, you do.
And so you can get good deals in that environment. When you've got young families that are growing up and you want to take them, then it's a bit harder. So it's not easy to do the business class. And then you've got 4 of them. I've got 2 kids that come with us. So
great.
4 business class. Now that's splurging if I take them all on business class.
But, jeez.
But I feel a little bit guilty keeping them at the back while I sit up the front too. So
bullshit.
Well, I am sitting at the back.
Oh, no, I'm not saying that you should, but you would feel guilty if your kids were at the back.
A little bit. I don't know how for long, maybe a couple of hours, but...
Oh, really? No issue. No, I'd have no issue whatsoever.
Well, interesting topic for today, mate.
It is, mate.
Yeah,
keep splurging.
Keep splurging.
Keep racing.
Keep splurging. Keep racing. I've still got a couple left. A few hoofs, a few tails.
Awesome.
But it's all good fun. But it was an interesting topic, so...
Press
subscribe, guys. I hope you've enjoyed today's topic. And if you press subscribe if you enjoyed it, that'd be great. And we look forward to seeing you on your next episode.
See you, Mark.
See ya.
Cheers, buddy.
Bye.